to order now, and we will move straight on to our first business item, which is item 2A, the resolution revising fees for various recreation facilities. And I will turn this over to you, Mr. Town Manager. Oh, before we do that, I just want to acknowledge who is here. We have Town Councilors Barry Walters and Mary Fay, Town Manager Rick Ledwith, and we have Laura Ermshire and Helen Rubino Turco and Jerida Reinheimer. All right, now we'll go to item 2A.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening, everyone. Great to see everyone. First up, we do have a resolution revising schedule of fees at Rockledge, Buena Vista, and Elmwood Community Center. This is the time of year where we do take a look at some of our fees across some of our programs and look for approval from both the Human and Community Services Committee, as well eventually as the Town Council. And this year, our Director Helen Rubino Turco has approached this very thoughtfully. The increases are modest increases in certain areas of the program, not across the board. I think last year we looked at changes in greens fees and other areas. This year it's very specifically tied to golf passes, both at Rockledge and Buena Vista. With the thought that we do, as we've talked about, we do have upcoming changes that will occur at the driving range that will enhance some of our revenue opportunities long-term that will help out at the golf course as well. So that factored into some of our what we would view as modest increases in other areas. So through you, Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to our Director, Helen Rubino Turco, to walk us through some of those changes. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And just want to acknowledge our colleague, Councilor McGinnis, has joined us. Good evening, and I'll turn it back over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Helen Rubino Turco, Director of Leisure Services. So as Rick explained, every year around this time, we review all of our fees. Not all of the fees are governed by the Town Council, but the fees that are in our schedule, generally for Rockledge, for Veterans Rink, and the golf courses, some of the rental rates that we do at Elmwood Community Center or at Westmore Park, they're governed by the Town Council. And so this year, as we explained, our golf passes were undervalued. And what we try to do is every year we sort of review what our peer communities are charging and what it would cost someone to, if a resident wanted to go play elsewhere, they would pay a non-resident rate if that facility charges a non-resident rate versus a resident rate. And so we sort of compare these across the board. And if you look at Rockledge versus 5 other of our peer communities, we found that our adult passes were being undervalued. So we suggest raising the full. So as you know, at Rockledge, our greens fees are resident or non-resident. It's the same fee. So we have one fee. We don't distinguish. We keep track when people come, but we don't charge a different rate for non-residents. When you buy a golf pass, however, we do charge different rates. So there is an advantage for residents to get the season pass at a lower rate. And this is the area where we felt we could increase our prices without really upsetting the apple cart. And so we do suggest rate increases between 4.1 and 6.8%. What this means for an individual adult playing at Rockledge, it would be an increase of $100 over the course of the season. So you can. This is a full privilege. You can play whenever you want for this with this pass. And then for seniors, there are two options. One is a full privilege and the other one is a reduced, or what we call a partial privilege. So you can play on the weekdays or you can play late in the afternoon on a weekend. So, you know, you can't, the prime time is weekend mornings, right? So this allows seniors to play during the week at a discount or after 3 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays. So those two rates would go up. The full privilege for seniors would go up by $45 and the partial privilege would go up by $40. And that's, again, spread out over the whole year. And when you compare it to other communities, our adult pass is sort of right in the middle, and our full senior pass is one of the least expensive, and our restricted senior pass is one of the least expensive. So a senior from here going to another community, that's what we would look at. You know, what's the impact on our seniors, on our residents? So we feel that these are reasonable. We also increased them for non-residents, but very few non-residents purchase a golf pass. It's primarily residents. And so we also want to recommend these changes at Buena Vista. And again, that's very minor. It's going up between $20 and $30, $20, $25, and $30 for those three season passes. And we feel that this would net us about $9,500 in additional revenue for Rockledge. At Buena Vista, it's fairly negligible, but we also want to just make sure that we're on a par with other communities. At Elmwood Community Center, for the most part, the increases are about 10% across the board, but you have to realize we haven't raised rates in some of these rooms since 2016 or 2018 or 2019. So it's been quite a while since we made any rate changes there. And these proposed rates really they're reasonable. They're sort of, we remain under below market. Some of these increases, when you talk about renting a room, are 5%, others are a little higher, but really it helps cover custodial costs and the facility supervisor costs, which of course minimum wage, since these were last one up, has gone up quite a lot. One thing you will notice in the rate changes for Elmwood Community Center, and you may have a question about it, is why aren't we renting the multi-purpose room anymore? We've removed that from the inventory, if you will, to rent. And the reason why here is because we really have begun using that room for preschool programming and preschool gym use, and that frees up the general gym for more time for seniors for pickleball. So we've really tried to, you know, see creative ways of utilizing space. And so that's why we've changed the way we operate that multi-purpose room. And I am happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much. And I also want to acknowledge Mayor Cantor has joined us. Welcome, Mayor Cantor. Are there questions from members of the committee? Or other members of, oh, go ahead, Councilman Walters.
Thank you, through you, Deb. Helen, the $9,500 that of enhanced revenue there, that's not a whole lot. And I get it that the fees are modest. What is that money? Is that money just going to go back for general use? How does that work? And pardon me, it might be a dumb question, but
no. Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. I'll answer Barry's question. So the golf course, several leisure services facilities operate in an enterprise fund, or it's called the Leisure Services Fund. So it's not in the general fund. So it happens in a fund where it's sort of like the business model, where you can charge rates and you try and remain competitive, and the revenue is expected to cover expenditures. And so this is a fund where our expenses rise, the cost of chemicals, the cost of seed, the cost of maintenance increases. And so we have to remain competitive to make sure we're trying to cover our costs, at the same time providing a service for our community. And so that's why we check to see what everybody else is doing, so that we can charge a competitive rate, so we can still attract people, but we're not undervaluing what we have, so that we can make sure we are raising enough to cover our costs. And this looks like it's nibbling around the corners, but I was always told you balance your budget in $100 increments. And so every time we're always looking to be as efficient as we possibly can, but also make sure that we don't devalue our facility. We also want to make sure we reinvest in our facility, because if you let it go and you don't maintain, then it costs so much more to bring it back up. This is also a year where we're going to be, there's two things happening at the golf course. One is that it's turning 100. And so we want to attract a lot of people, especially new people, to try the place. And that's why we're trying to make sure that we keep our rates competitive. So we didn't want to raise the greens fees, because we feel that they're in a good place. The second is that we're reinvesting in the driving range, and the driving range is expected to be built in the spring. We do anticipate that it is going before the town plan and zoning, so I don't want to get ahead of their decision, but we hope that they would approve of this project, of this change of use at the driving range, because we're going to bring in technology and we're hoping to bring in a covered area with a snack bar and a bathroom to just kind of improve the whole experience, but also take advantage of an untapped revenue source. And this will help the revenue that will be generated from this investment will help put us in a good standing for in the future for our costs. So this 9,500 just goes back into operation, helps cover our operating costs.
And it will cover any increases that we are going to have then.
Well, it's our increases are greater, but we're also anticipating a significant revenue stream coming for our driving range. So that is part of our overall kind of 5-year plan. How do we get this place set? The restaurant is one part of that. So greens fees, the restaurant, and then the maintenance. And the restaurant is doing very well. In the last calendar year, they exceeded expectations in terms of revenue that comes to the town. Part of their rent, if you will, is that we receive a certain percentage of revenue over a certain dollar amount, and they've exceeded expectations in that area. So we're pleased with the revenue generation from there, but we're also looking to make sure that we're maximizing revenue at the same time providing a competitive rate for our product. It's a business model.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Are there other questions? I know we've had an increase in the cost for minimum wage, increase in cost for water, electricity, and so forth. These seem like modest increases. Any other questions before we move on?
Excuse me. Yep. My question would be, is there an opportunity to raise the fees a bit more? You said we were in the middle of the pack, and I know that doesn't cover, we don't break even there. And I know we have a long range plan, which is great. But is there an opportunity to raise fees, modestly, but another increment? So maybe we're in the 75th percentile instead of middle of the pack.
That's a great question. Thank you. I feel that without knowing what all of our competitors are going to do, we are providing a reasonable recommendation for the rates that we have presented. It is possible to increase them a little bit more, but I also want to make sure that we don't, there's that tipping point where if you raise it too much, then maybe people don't come as much. So what we're trying to navigate that tipping point.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Councilwoman Fay?
No, thank you so much.
Okay, great. Do we need a vote on this or anything?
Madam Chair, you would not need to vote on it here. I mean, what we would do next is move this forward to a town council meeting. And you would vote on it in that session. If you had any suggested changes, you would let us certainly know that. But we were presenting that this evening, and then next step would be formal council approval.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to move on to item 2B, the resolution accepting and appropriating a grant from Amplify. And I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And these next two resolutions are accepting grants, one from Amplify and the other one from the John G. Martin Foundation to support park improvements. We did talk about that at the last Finance and Administration meeting as well. However, we did not talk about the Amplify grant, and you saw this exact grant earlier this year when we received a $5,000 award from Amplify. This is the second award that we've received from them this year. So kudos to Helen and her team, who worked very hard throughout the year to uncover every grant opportunity possible. And these are two before you this evening, one being Amplify and the other one a $75,000 grant to support park improvements, which are just huge. So thank you, Helen, and your team for all of your hard work in securing these grants. And through you, Madam Chair, I'll turn it over to Helen to provide a brief summary.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and also Madam Chair. So the resolution from Amplify, just to clarify, Amplify was formerly known as the North Central Regional Mental Health Board. And they support all kinds of activities in the state regarding behavioral health services and any especially in the area of mental health. Their focus really is to assist communities, and I'm just going to read a little bit, assessing their behavioral health needs, identifying gaps in service, developing plans to advocate for the most effective resources to enhance the lives of people with mental health, substance misuse, suicide, problem gambling, and other kind of these behavioral health issues. And we will use these funds to help support eligible substance abuse prevention activities. As you know, the Town Council has a West Hartford Prevention Council, and they are our local prevention council. But they also have a subsidiary that does activities, and it's called the West Hartford Prevention Partnership. And they use these funds for programs, for prevention programs. And Amplify has recognized our programming and supports it. This is the second of a $5,000 grant that we've received from them. And so it will go towards the programs and the activities that the West Hartford Prevention Council approves.
Thank you.
This
Questions?
is also, sorry, I was just going to add that this is also funding that our new prevention coordinator will be assisting them with implementing. So we actually have a lot of reporting, but there's always reporting to do. So we have someone to do that now. Thank you.
You took the question right out of my mouth. Do committee members have any questions about this grant? Mayor Cantor, Councilwoman McGinnis, any questions? So my only question was going
No,
to
thank-
ask you if we had hired our part-time prevention coordinator, and happy to hear that we have done that. So that's great news. All right, let's move on to 2C, the resolution accepting and appropriating a grant from the John G. Martin Foundation. I think we've heard about this one before, but maybe not in this committee. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll quickly turn to our director, Helen, to give a quick summary. And I believe, Helen, you understand that we did present this to Finance and Administration as well at our last meeting, so they've heard it. But if you can provide a quick summary, because it is an outstanding
Sure.
grant that we've been awarded and will help at Westmore Park and
Spice Bush.
Spice Bush.
Yeah, Walcott, yeah, and Spice Bush. So thank you, Mr. Ledwith. So this opportunity came to us. We were approached by the foundation, and they said that they wanted to. They were looking for projects that had a clearly defined area with a beginning, a middle, and an end. They wanted shovel-ready projects, and so we identified these two floating docks and a waterside platform in three different parks. So the two docks, one is at Walcott, the other is at Westmore Park. We have had docks there in the past, but they've rusted out, they're old, and we were looking for new docks, and we were scratching our heads about how we were going to try and fund these. It does improve accessibility. The dock at Westmore Park is used by all the school children that go there, just as a reminder, every child from K through 5 goes to Westmore Park once a year. And also at Walcott, the Conard High School biology classes go over there, as well as children from Walcott Elementary. They do utilize the park, but I've also seen fishermen use these docks at the dock at Walcott. And the platform at Spice Bush is also really important because it was there before we did the dredging of the pond a couple years ago, but we hadn't put it back in, and we were really looking to improve accessibility there. And so this grant will cover those three projects, and they're also interested in looking at other accessibility projects that we're doing. And so we're continuing conversation with them. That's it.
Great, thank you. Questions? All right, wonderful. So these are exciting projects, and do they need to go before TPZ also now? Or
No.
No.
Excellent. All right, so we'll move these forward to the council at an upcoming meeting. Moving on to communications. Do we have any communications?
We do not, Madam Chair. We
All
can
right.
probably just move right into staff reports. which
Sounds
are
good.
like
We'll
appro-
switch over to library services.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to report on some things going on at the library. First up is a celebration that is happening tomorrow night. We're partnering with the Human Rights Commission to host the celebration of the 75th anniversary of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The event will take place at Town Hall Auditorium starting at 5:30. And it will feature a unique and powerful reading of the Declaration in various languages, symbolizing its global impact and the unity of our diverse world in striving for human dignity and equality. Our librarian, Pramod Pradhan, who's out at the Faxon Library, he's the liaison for the Human Rights Commission, and he's been hard at work recruiting volunteers from the community to participate in the reading. And I hope that I will see some of you there. Also at Faxon, we recently had a generous gift from the Kilfoyle Bequest to the West Hartford Library Foundation to update our Welcome Center, and it is getting a much needed facelift. The funding that we got will cover new furniture that will create a more welcoming space for community members. It includes 4 new tall chairs for our table and 2 more comfortable chairs and a laptop table in a sitting area. The funding will include $3,000 to update our Welcome Center book collection, which features books and materials in other languages. And our staff will begin ordering the materials for that soon, and they're working with community members to make sure that we're getting the materials that best meet their needs. Faxon is home to many programs, including the English Learning Conversation classes, the Building Connection Book Club for immigrants, one-on-one language tutoring sessions, individual citizenship tutoring sessions, and much more. These are core services that we offer, and an updated Welcome Center is really going to help us to better serve our community. February, we are launching a lot of programs with our theme of Love is in the Air. We are celebrating all types of love, romantic love, family love, pet love, and so much more. And this is in combination with the launch of our romance collection at the Noah Webster Library. So romance is a very popular genre of fiction that has traditionally just been interfiled with our regular fiction collection. So we're breaking that out and celebrating it as a separate collection, and have a lot of fun programming going on for the month for all ages. We have our teens and tweens that are going to have a We Love Taylor Swift party on February 3rd. Our adult crafternoons are going to make yarn wrapped hearts on February 8th and 13th. We have an author talk from T'Challa Williams and her book Passions released on February 13th. And we have a program, I believe it's on February 20th. I'm sorry, I didn't write the date, that is making no-sew blankets for pets. And we're going to donate the blankets to shelters when pets get to find their forever home, and it makes me cry every time I think about that program. So we're going to have a lot of fun in February. We hope that you stop by the library and check it out and enjoy all the fun that we're having. Speaking of fun, we launched a new club. Our West Hartford Tabletop Gaming Club is a friendly, inclusive, and accessible tabletop role-playing game group for all adults of any experience level. So whether you've never played a game in your life or you're a seasoned GM, this is the group for you. We're open to all players, all types of games, all ideas, with a focus on creating a fun, welcoming, and safe gaming environment. The group is going to meet every other week on Tuesday evenings at the Noah Webster Library. Each campaign will begin with a special Saturday planning convention, and it'll run for 6 sessions. So if you want, if you're interested, you can check the library's website to schedule. You can email us, or you can just drop in for a meeting. You're not required to register, and we hope to see you there. In February, we were also going to be celebrating the 13th annual Take Your Child to the Library Day. So on the first Saturday in February, thousands of libraries celebrate this day by offering free, fun, fabulous activities for families. Take Your Child to the Library Day was founded in 2011 at the Waterford Public Library in Connecticut, and celebrations have been held across the U.S. and Canada, serving over 48 million people. This year, we're thrilled to be part of the celebration. We have many fun programs planned for the day, including a scavenger hunt, making a picture frame, a story time for Lily and the Egg, and our West Hartford Immigrant Teen Club is doing a bilingual story time as well. And finally, I wanted to tell you about new outreach kits that we have. So library outreach efforts are critical to building and maintaining relationships with the community. These can include staff attending or manning tables at school events, community events like Celebrate West Hartford, visiting community organizations to speak with people, and much more. We use these opportunities not just to inform the public of everything that the library has to offer, but also to connect with and better understand the community we serve. Through relationship building and communication, we meet the community where they are, showing we're here to serve everyone, whether they're active visitors or not. We learn more about the community's needs and concerns and can apply what we learn to further develop and expand our services and programming to better meet those needs. So we've been increasing our involvement, and this is going to be a focus for us on the coming year. And so these kits were funded by the West Hartford Library Foundation, and they include all the supplies that our library staff will need to go on the road and promote library services and resources. And they're bundled in a convenient carrying case for easy transportation. And we're getting brand new orange tablecloths so we can stand out in a crowd. So if you see the orange table, come by and chat with a library staff member and tell us what you'd like to see at the library. So that wraps up my report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Great, thank you. What questions do committee members have? And Mayor Cantor or Councilwoman McGinnis, any questions? I have a question. I'm happy to hear about the new furniture for the Welcome Center at Faxon. I assume all of this, well, with the planning for the new community center and moving Faxon branch over to the community center, this will be furniture and equipment that we could move over if needed.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We absolutely had that in mind. So we picked out pieces of furniture that could easily move to a new location, and we were careful with our patterns that they would fit in with any sort of color scheme. So they will be easy to bring with us to the new library when it's ready.
Great, thank you. That was the only question I had. All right, we'll move on to Leisure and Social Services update, and I guess we're back to you, Ellen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to continue my update about our prevention activities, we did hire Gretchen Levitz to be our prevention coordinator. She started a little bit in November, but really it is now in full swing in January. And she has been meeting with different stakeholder groups. She was already on our prevention commission, so she stepped off that and is attending now in a different capacity. And she's been meeting with police, with health district staff, library, emergency response staff, people from the bridge, and other groups. And we're really excited to have her join us because of her energy, her background. But there's a lot of activities that you'll be seeing coming up this spring. Sometimes we try to time them with national themes. So in May, there's Prevention Week, there's Prevention Month. There's also some mental health commemorations that go on in April, May. So you'll be seeing a lot of activities that will come to you, perhaps in the form of not a resolution, but a proclamation, that kind of thing, just to help publicize some of the things that they're doing. In addition, my staff, we are meeting with, there are two, the cannabis stores, one has opened and one is planning to open. So we've been talking to them about partnering with them and different sponsorship opportunities. They've expressed interest in supporting activities, not just from the funds that they are obligated to give to the town, but in addition. And so, we'll just keep talking to them about worthy activities. I did provide an update for you in my monthly report on all the activities that were done during the holidays. Social services is super busy in November and December. And, we really, I just want to acknowledge the hard work of my staff as well as the community in general for their generosity and their time during that period of the holidays. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we, prepared so many different gift bags or food bags, or distributed lots of holiday gift cards and lots of extra meals that were distributed. So the community really steps up, and we're really pleased with how that all goes. We are, however, really looking, reviewing those operations and making sure that the impact of these programs are accurate and effective, because we are undergoing some strategic planning. And so this sort of review is taking place hand in hand with the review is taking place hand in hand with the strategic planning. I did give some statistics for you about renters rebate. So this is a state program that helps income eligible elderly, or typically it's completely disabled renters, It operates basically from April through November. And our staff was busy processing. We processed more than 600 applications and returned more than $300,000 to eligible applicants. It was about the same as it was last year, a little bit increase from last year's numbers. And we've been creative about how we address these rent rebate applications, because some of them can be done electronically, some of them are done the old-fashioned way through regular mail. And now post-COVID, we are also doing them in person, either at Town Hall or senior centers or at HANIC, or as you know, we have 4 senior housing sites in town. So we also go there to meet people where they are at, to help promote the renters rebate program and process those applications. Are there any questions about our social services, or would you like me to move on to leisure?
Let's move on, and then we'll do all the questions at the end.
Okay, very good. We've already covered a lot of the items that I was going to talk about in leisure, the fee increases, the grant from the John G. Martin Foundation. We did have a wonderful event that kind of a pop-up event, if you will, at Veterans Memorial Skating Rink on New Year's Eve, because the Wolf Pack came. They needed a place to practice, and so they called and they came and they had a wonderful time, and they signed autographs. The youth hockey and skaters were there. They signed autographs in the lobby, and they want to come back at some point. So it's just a nice way to connect our youth with a professional team. So that was really neat. Lots of pictures were taken. We also have new equipment, that fitness equipment that has been installed at the Bishop's Corner branch. The equipment that we have at our 2 fitness centers were actually paid for by a grant some years ago, and they're starting to age out. And so we're carefully using some funding, that bequest funding, to make some improvements in the fitness centers. And as you know, we also are using an ARPA, a senior ARPA grant, not the town's ARPA funding, but through the state senior centers. So we are in the process of purchasing the van to restore the kind of the Elmwood Express bus service between the 2 senior centers and the region. And I also wanted to let you know that the 3 proposals were received from design firms. We're still in the process of reviewing them. This is for the new Elmwood Community Center. So we hope to make a recommendation very soon to the town manager about a design firm. In the area of capital projects, the big project that is underway right now really is the Eisenhower Bath House. That project is expected to be completed by June 1st, and then the pool season will open, and then at the end of the pool season, they will move from the bathhouse to the actual pool. So I did include some pictures there where they are laying pipes before they pour the floor. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Questions from committee members? Ms. Fair, Mr. Walters?
I'm good. Thanks.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. McGinnis, do you have any questions? All right, this was really comprehensive. You answered some of the questions I had in my own head. So thanks for taking care of that and predicting what I might be thinking about. Are there requests for future agenda items? And if not, without objection, we will adjourn at 6:40 p.m. Everybody have a great night and please stay safe. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
See you later.
Stay warm.